Hello, this is Star, and today I am going to talk about writing scripts in JSFX for either Reaper or for Bitwig, the YSFX plugin that does JSFX just like in Reaper. Um, Basically, this is going to be some sort of intro to how to program or how to start programming with it, on how to write your own scripts and what you can do. It's not supposed to be encompassing, or this video is not going to be encompassing. Encompassing. Anyways, basically, this is the perfect if you want to kind of you want to get your feet wet into to doing something like this, creating your own script or doing something or messing around, and you're curious, and you own Reaper and Bitwig, so kind of a smaller audience, very small that you would want to start programming it. But I figure, in general, if you're just curious what you can do, and then how it's doing it, this would be the video to do it. With that, without a with give okay. Um, Basically put, I wanted to create a plugin or a JSFX plugin that sent Midi CC out randomly to another thing that's listening to Midi CCs and using that as a modulation. So basically, it just sends random CC. Does Bitwig already do this? Yeah, it does. But I kind of wanted to get my feet wet into programming or creating something that's like that for more advanced things that you can do programming wise. So basically, I have a script idea. So I'm gonna to um, kind of go over my thought pattern on how I created it, and then the actual script itself. So the very first thing I did is I went over to the Reaper JSFX programming site and started initially looking at the documentation. And in here, they kind of mention stuff like this of what the file should look like. So basically, put what I have here is I have kind of a template script here that I basically created this myself. Is that I looked at other scripts like the delay plugin, like the avocado ducking glitch plugin, and I saw what they were using, and I basically emulated it. So basically, they have a first, a second. This is the first that gets called. This is the second that gets called. This is the third that gets called, and then finally uses a sample. And if you have graphics, it calls this. So basically, the init is kind of a start of the script, if you will. It should, I think, only get called once, and it kind of initializes everything, gets things going. The second is if you have some programmability to your sliders that are these things right here. Um, you can actually add to that here, and it will execute the code for the sliders every time. I think if you move a slider, this code will execute. Third is the block that executes right before a sample. That basically most of your code is in there. Hopefully you're good with that. Defining the slider, I have two of them here, random min, random max, and you can see those here, and then they act like sliders. So kind of easy, straightforward. So if I wanted to rename it, basically it changes. And so this is the default, this is the min, this is max, and this is the step. So if I wanted to go up by 5, I change this, and the value will go up by 5. So if I do this, the 65, 60, 50, it doesn't go up by 1 anymore. Um, Kind of cool. So the sliders are actually a really easy concept, and they're useful for the thing I want to do. So first part is that so I knocked out the document, and so I have to start coding. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting in comments. Stuff like I know what I want to do, so like a randomized MIDI generator would be, hey, look for a random number generation. And then the second thing I'm going to do is figure out MIDI sends or send out CC messages. How do I send out a CC messages? This is a really easy kind of beginner type of thing to do because it's only 2 steps. So basically, I have to create a step, or I have to create something that kind of encompasses both of these right here. So with that, I was like, how do you do a random type thing? So in my initial looking at the program and documentation, random is a math function. So it's right here. Returns a pseudo random number between one and the zero and the parameter. That's all well and good, but that doesn't tell me how it's used in context of code. So I need an example to basically put it. So one of the things that I personally know is let me get a new instance of this. Give me a second. Because it defaults to the Reaper scripts. So in remain calm avocado ducking glitch, this has probability and randomness in it. So where do I find somebody that uses an example of the randomized code? I look at somebody else's. And so in here, basically, you can see the same code in here. And the same things. Over here are the variables in the real time that you can see updating right here on all the variable information. So there's stuff actually already going. So I look in this code and I see, okay, so I know that I am going to use RAND. So I kind of scan the code in here for RAND, and it is indeed in here. They use it right here actually. So this is a number between 1 and 100, and then is it in the what it does is this right here says, hey, if the number is greater than 100, that from randomize, then do this is basically it. But here's the use of random, and it looks pretty actually straightforward, like I thought. So going back to my script that I'm working on. Let me actually load up the script. Um, looking at the script, I see how random is used. So basically, I do the same thing. Is that I get a random here, and then it says that RAND, the second slider amount. The second slider is the random max, so I got a number between 1 and 50 that I could be. If I wanted to move it up, it'll be 1 to 100, that kind of thing. So it's basically using slider 2. Slider 2 is defined up here. And then floor, what floor does is if you go back to the thing, floor says it rounds the value to the lowest integer possible. So if I got a number like 3.9, it does 3, or 3.1, it does it's supposed to do 3, but this is a negative, so it does -4, which would be the next lowest number. So basically, if I don't, the randomized function will give like a 1 point something, and I don't really want to send a 1 point something MIDI message to be brutally honest. Okay, now the second part is sending a CC message. So once again, in the documentation, if I go back, there's these MIDI functions, and it describes sending MIDI messages. And in here, it says something about an offset, message 1, message 2, and this is really kind of confusing at first. MIDI is a very weird spec. So I had to go over here to this one, and it breaks down. It actually does really good. Does a good thing about breaking down MIDI concepts. So I was looking at it all last night to try to understand stuff, and a lot of this stuff's kind of very high level types of like binary to hex, and if this scares you, it scares me. I'm used to the conversion. Quite literally, you can use the calculator that's built into Windows to do the conversion for you. So it's not really that scary. But to be brutally honest, you really don't need it, and I'll explain why later. But then they go into here and they say that there's a couple of really good pages for MIDI. There's that one, and there's another one in here. Not that one. No, that's the official MIDI spec. There's a table that it explains status bytes really well. And I didn't understand it. Um, but you see all this and it goes kind of crazy, but in reality, um, this is if you like really want to get to the bare bones specs and program it like you're in C. This one doesn't take an actual lot. Um, Going back to my script here. Um, Basically you just got to know what the event is, the number that you're sending, and the amount. It's actually really simple. There's three events that you need to know in the MIDI spec. There's oh, I got them right here. There's the actual CC message, which is X80, the note on message, which means that you press down stuff, and a note off message, which means that you take your finger off the key. Is X90. So down here in the MIDI CC send, I got CC, which means send a CC message. This is hex 80, which you can hard code this, or you can put this up here in the init and not have to worry about it again. So I can send several, like copy and paste and send several of these messages and just use note on, note off, and not have to worry about the numbers ever again. The first number here is the channel. So MIDI has 16 channels. I wanted to send this on channel 1. The slider 1 is the CC channel I'm going to send on. So up here I say, this is CC channel 1. So if I wanted to send on channel 9, I'll move the slider and say, hey, I want it to send on channel 9. So now I should be sending on channel 9. The next is the CC value. 1 through 27, I think, is the values for CC. Other than that, it's actually a really simple message. The channel, the event, if it's a CC message, if I'm pressing down the key or taking my finger off the key, what the CC channel is, and what the value is. So in there, as you can see, the CC amount is going up and down, and then I can move it. I can move it up higher, and then you should see higher numbers. See, like 100's actually going down, or I can move it lower, and you can see that it's no longer doing hundreds. So how useful this is, or how does this work? Well, we got to test it. So let's add a modulator for MIDI that actually listens to CC. Okay, so now remembering, we're sending on 9 right now, so we're gonna move this up to 9. And look, it moved. It's actually sending information. So that's this plugin. So if I turn this off, nothing. Turn it back on, information. Turned off, nothing. Turn it back on, and then I can actually use this to change the any one of these, and it's going along with the CC messages that we're sending. So if I wanted to turn it down, it doesn't move it as much, but turn it back up. It's all over the place. And if I wanted to change the channel that it's sending on, I can move it up. Nothing. And now we move the controller channel. It's sending CC messages. It's actually really simple. To get this, it's basically a straightforward thing. So one of the challenges that I encountered when I was doing this is that the problem with the actual Specos reading, it has what has is 3 parameters. But if you look at my code, there's a 4th parameter, the channel parameter. This is channel. This is the type or the I think the up here I could say the offset or something like that. Um, but it's um, the um, the status or whatever. Basically the event type. So either a CC, a node on, node off. The value. So if this was a node on, you would send whatever the value is for your note, which I think it's up to 127 or something like that value for what key you're pressing down, you know, C sharp or whatever. And then this is the velocity or the amount in the CC message. But there's 4 different things I'm sending down here. There's only 3 up here in this description. And every one of these has kind of, except for this offset thing. Well, lo and behold, so when I was first doing it, I had it for the 3, and it wasn't working. So if I save this, go back to Bitwig, look at it, see it's no longer sending a message. It was just working and no longer sending a message. Oh, we got it on channel 1 again. Go back on send. Still no message. No message. Not working. So I was trying to figure it out what was going wrong. So I have Reaper here, and I have the same Rando CC here, and then one of the greatest things about Reaper, among all the other things, is that it can log MIDI activity. So when I was having problems with my keyboard controllers, I would go in here and it would log the MIDI messages that my keyboards were sending out to see if it worked. So basically, let me turn this on, and there's these MIDI messages, and so let me turn this back off. So this is telling me that it's sending CC1 on the mod wheel, channel 1 for a value of 83. And then here's all the values it's sending. So when I was having an issue with it not working, I went in here and looked at the thing, and it said it was node off, and I was like, why is it node off? And it took me a while to figure out that basically this needed to be channel here, and then the CC message, and then the value and whatnot. So it started working from that point on. And as you can see, it works perfectly fine. So basically, once I got that over, oh, okay. So MIDI's actually pretty easy. I think the longest thing that it took me last night to program this was understanding the MIDI stuff. But once I understand it, oh, okay. So now I can just copy and paste it. And actually send several different CC messages. So instead of slider 1, we'll say 2, 3. And basically, the CC amount we'll copy and paste. So 2, 3. So now you have 3 different amounts. So let's go back in Bitwig. I think we'll be on CC 1, and it's sending information. So let's create a new one. 2, sending information. 3, sending information. So I can move it to this one, and I can move it to this one, and it actually should be sending information independently of each other. So I can have different things going on, regardless of the messages. That one's 1. That one's okay. So I have 3 different ones that send 3 different CC messages, and all the different numbers. So if we go here and edit again, and basically these 3 amounts are actually being sent in 3 different CC channels. So kind of cool. So what now? So some of the things I can think of immediately, if you want to try doing this and want to go beyond just this is one of them's timing. Look up on the thing here, and try to figure out. I think there's time functions. Um, the timing is awfully really quick of these changes, and so basically we need something to slow it down. So basically you can have sort of like a counter or something, and then start it with the init, and then have it for every time it counts. Do what they call a modulus, and every time it hits the modulus of like say 50, and the things, then it'll send an actual CC message. Otherwise, it just keeps on doing random stuff. So that we can actually slow it down. Maybe create a sync that does it with the timing of 1.4, get the BPM and stuff like that, and do timing. You could find this stuff in other scripts, so it's wouldn't be kind of that difficult to do, or to figure out how to do. Um, there's that. There's create a bunch more customization on CC messages, and maybe send other types of style messages, notes on, notes off, that kind of stuff. You can actually do a couple of crazy things with this. But I think that's all I had wanted to show. Basically on how to do it, like an initial type of JS script that works both in Bitwig and in Reaper. So for the people that like I said have both, this works. Um, if you want this, let me know in a comment, and I can paste bin it and send it to you. Or you can basically just pause the video and type it out. There's not really that much to it. Um, so it's probably easy to knock out and make your own mistakes and learn from them. Like one of the mistakes I would made is this one right here. So this kind of goes like a C whatnot. Um, there it goes. Um, I think that's just. You notice that when I removed the what's called the semicolon, it stopped moving the numbers over here, and there it goes. So in languages that are related to C, C++, Java, C Sharp, and JavaScript, they have the concept of having the semicolon after them. And in this language, the worst thing that you can do is forget that semicolon, because it kind of moves all the code together and jumbles it up and thinks it's all one line. So you have to have that semicolon, because you can literally have all these things on the same line and not give any line breaks. The only reason why you see a line break is because it tells the compiler, or I mean, it basically compiler doesn't care. It sees that as one line. I mean, as two different executions, but one line. We do it in one line, or do it in two lines, is because we need to actually read it. It makes more sense to me to be on two lines than it does to one, and so that it's kind of helpful. And so basically, forgetting that little semicolon at the end is very easy way of causing yourself a lot of problems. Um, in any of the languages that require a semicolon at the end. Um, but you kind of get used to it, especially as a seasonal developer. You kind of look for that stuff as a oh, I missed it. Okay. So anyway, hope you liked the video, and I will see you in the next one.